Journey to the West in Vernacular Chapter 30. The Bhikkhu Kingdom conquers demons and saves children. Tang Seng and his disciples walked for a few more months and came to the Bhikkhu Kingdom. Pedestrians in the city are neatly dressed. The streets are bustling, but their faces are sad, and there is a goose cage in front of every house, covered with colorful silks and satins. Wukong felt very strange, so he turned into a bee and got into a cage, and saw a boy under 7 years old inside. He visited several houses in a row and found that every house was like this, so he returned to report to Monk Tang. After Tang Seng and his disciples came to the post house, they asked Yi Cheng for the reason. Yi Cheng was originally reluctant to say anything, but he couldn't defeat Tang Seng, so he told the reason. 3 years ago, an old Taoist gave the king a 16-year-old beauty. The king spent all day with the beautiful woman, and his body became weaker and weaker. The imperial doctors tried all their remedies, but could not cure the king. The old man gave the king a secret recipe, using the livers of 1,111 little boys as a medicine. After eating it, he could live forever, for 1,000 years. The boys in the goose cage were all selected from ordinary people's homes to make medicine. After Tang Monk heard this, he felt it was too cruel and was so sad that he shed tears. Sha Monk said that the old Taoist must be a goblin. When Wukong heard this, he immediately had an idea. He jumped into the air and called the city god and the earth god to give him some instructions. That night, the gods stole all the goose cages and hid them. The next morning, Wukong turned into a bug and bit Tang Monk's hat, and exchanged customs with Tang Monk when he entered the court. The king was dizzy. He took the guan and read it again and again, then took out the big seal, sealed it, and handed it back to Tang Monk. At this time, the old Taoist came, and the king and the Manchu officials all stood up to greet him. The old Taoist actually sat down side by side with the king. When Tang Monk saw it, he stood up and left. Wukong said in Tang Monk's ear, "This old Taoist is a goblin, and the king is bewitched. Master, you go back to the post house first, and I will listen to what he says here." After saying that, Wukong flew back to the Golden Palace. At this time, the city soldiers and horse officers came to report. A strong wind blew away all the goose cages and children last night. The king was shocked and annoyed, and the old Taoist came up with another idea. Using Tang Seng's heart and liver to make medicine is thousands of times better than a boy. After hearing this, the king hurriedly ordered his troops to besiege the post house and capture Tang Seng. Wukong immediately flew back to the post house, changed back to his original form, and reported the news to Tang Seng. The two discussed that Wukong would become Tang Seng, and then his master would become himself. Wukong, who had become Tang Monk, was caught in front of the Golden Palace. After hearing the king's words about using his heart as a medicine, he said, "How many hearts do you have? I wonder what color your majesty wants." The old Taoist pointed at the fake Tang Monk and said, "I want yours. Black heart." The fake Tang Monk asked someone to bring a horn-sharp knife, cut open the belly, and a bunch of hearts rolled out. He opened the bloody hearts one by one, and showed them to the king. There were red hearts, white hearts, fame and fortune, jealousy, competitiveness, viciousness, but no black heart. The king was so frightened that he quickly asked the fake Tang Monk to pack it up. Wukong returned to his original form and said to the king, "We monks all have good intentions. Only this old Taoist has a black heart and can be used as a medicine guide. I will help you take it out." Seeing that it was Sun Dashing who was causing trouble in the heavenly palace, the old Taoist stood up in a hurry and drove, "Just follow the clouds and leave." Wukong somersaulted to catch up, and fought with Lao Tao in midair. Lao Tao's panlong crutch couldn't block the golden cudgel. Seeing the opportunity, it turned into a cold light and fell into the palace. He held the demon queen given to the king under his arm, and took him out of the palace. The door disappeared without a trace. Wukong fell down and returned to the temple. Only then did the monarchs and ministers realize that they had been deceived. Wukong asked the king to send someone to fetch his master and younger brother. Wukong blew some fairy air on Tang Monk's face, and Tang Monk immediately returned to his original form. Wukong asked where the evil spirit lived, and the king told Wukong that he lived on Liulinpo in the south of the city. Xinghua village. Wukong and Bajie arrived at Liulinpo on clouds, but could not find Qinghua village. Wukong called the earth god to ask, and the earth god said, "Under the roots of a willow tree at the 9 forks of the south bank, turn 3 times to the left, 3 times to the right, then slap the tree with both hands together, and shout 3 times to open the door. Xinghua cave appears." Wukong found the Xinghua mansion, as the earth god said, and broken. When the monster saw Wukong, he threw away the demon queen in his arms, picked up the dragon crutch and hit Wukong. Wukong led the demon out of the cave, and Bajie immediately raised his rake and beat him. Seeing that he couldn't defeat them, the demon turned into cold light and ran away. Wukong and Bajie were chasing after them, and suddenly they saw the longevity star of Antarctica covering the cold light and said, "Hold on, you guys, this monster is my mount, please spare his life." Wukong asked the longevity star to make the monster appear. It turned out that the longevity star released the cold light and shouted loudly, and the monster rolled in the air. It turned out to be a Sika deer. Wukong also asked the longevity star to catch the demon queen for them and bring them back to the Bhikkhu kingdom to reveal herself. The birthday star agreed. Wukong and Bajie returned to Xinghua mansion. When the demon queen saw the situation, she turned into a cold light and ran out. Wukong saw the cold light and struck it with a stick, knocking the demon queen to the ground and revealing her true form. She turned out to be a white-faced fox. Bajie grabbed the fox by the tail and brought it to Xinghua village. Wukong set off a fire and burned the demon village to ashes. Then he, the longevity star and Bajie led the deer and dragged the fox to the Bhikkhu kingdom. He said to the king, "This deer, he is your father-in-law, and this fox is your queen." Before the birthday boy left, he gave the king 3 dates. After the king swallowed them, he immediately felt much better. Wukong jumped into the air and summoned the city god and the earth god, asking them to send the child back immediately. In an instant, a strong wind blew, and 1,111 goose cages fell on the open space in the city. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.